Welcome back to Income Trading 101, and I wanted to make a video today. It is April the 15th, 2021. This one's going to be Netflix, and let me take this back to the 1 day level. But Netflix has obviously been it's had a nice run over the last year. It was one of the companies that really did benefit from the the pandemic and people being stuck inside. So you can see it's had some volatility, but it also is remaining in a fairly high place. So let's just take a look and see the full history, at least a 10-year history of where Netflix. Because I'm gonna have to tighten this up a bit. There we go. I had the stock so tight, the range so tight that it wasn't capturing all the data. So you can see way back in 2010, this was a $15 stock. 10 years later, it's a $550 stock. Isn't that crazy? We actually sit back and think about it. I mean, wow. So that all being said, let's go ahead and scroll back out. And we're really going to analyze. I like to take a look at essentially 1 year. And I'm just going to pull it a little less than a year. I'm sorry, a little more, because I want to include the pandemic and the rally it's had since then. That would have started back in mid-March of 2020. So obviously up pretty significantly. We'll get a nice little look. I see a bunch of different things, different levels and whatnot, just in glancing at the stock. Maybe you do too. We'll come back to that. We're going to start with just the moving averages, just so I can get a better look at where the stock is relative to where it's been. And that's the main reason why I like, moving averages. Some people, people have different choices for, what their favorite indicators are. And one of my first trading courses talked about moving averages and crossovers and whatnot. And so it was one of the first indicators that I used in my own strategies. And I still, have modified or used them today to some extent. So obviously we had a period of upward trend and then a period of what I would call chop. I mean, look at this. Just up, down, back up, down. And it's hard to say whether we have come through that entire period or not. But at this moment, at least on the daily, I don't know if you guys can see that, but on the 1 day charts, the 10-day moving average is higher than the 60, which is higher than the 20. So these are completely out of order. But if the stock does pull higher, we'll see that red line, the 20-day, pull higher than the 60. And at that point, it'll certainly appear to be in a bullish period. But given how choppy this stock has been, man, it's going to be hard to suggest really getting behind buying it. Let's take a look at the 1 hour. So chances are in some of these smaller time frames, it might actually be more worthwhile to take a good trade. So in this one, you almost have to go over to the numbers. You can see the numbers over here in the upper left-hand corner, but we have a situation where all three moving averages are in line heading lower, and the 20 and the 60 period are just shy of $1 apart. They all are actually pretty tight, within $1 of one another. So, but that is definitely showing a bearish move. Let's take a look at the 30-minute and just see how that looks as well. So on the 30-minute, you've got a lot of congestion because the 10 and the 60 are very close to one another, with the 20 being lower than both. So those are out of order. We're going to try one more. We'll drop it down to the 15-minute. 15-minute shows them all in order, but the 10 and the 20 are just about on top of each other. They are 21 cents apart, which is really tight. So all in all, I'm not getting a strong buy or sell from the moving averages. I'm getting a mix. And whenever I get what I call mixed, if I'm getting mixed signals, then I'm not going to allocate capital. You can always wait to trade. Like when I was a trader for companies, you had to trade, right? You had to do it. In scenarios where you're not feeling a clear buy or sell signal, man, the best thing to do is just be patient and wait. Let's see what the MACD shows us. Maybe the MACD will give us a reason to be bullish or bearish. So on the daily, using a one-day chart, we did see a bullish crossover here in 2 weeks ago, late March, and it crossed above the zero line. So that would have been a great bullish indication. We'll just leave it at that. Let's take it to the 1 hour. On the 1 hour, we're looking more bearish, even though you can see stock really hasn't been, well, there we go. Spread it out a little bit more. You can see more of the variation. So we had a bullish tie over back here on the 26th, and then it crossed above the zero line on the 30th, 31st, and it's since crossed above. So this is a what do you call it? A bearish signal to have the signal line above the MACD line, which is the blue, and it also crossed into negative territory, into the oversold territory, and appears to have crossed again. So this entire part of the indicator, I disagree with, or I don't really follow well, because you had a situation where price is actually going higher and this was actually going lower. So again, know the strengths and weaknesses of your models and indicators, because it might save you a lot of money at some point. So we're going to spread this out one more time and take a look at this 30-minute, where there was a what do you call it? Also a crossover above the zero line. So this would have been a sell signal, and it's crossed, but now it just recently gave what could be a bullish signal with this crossover earlier today on the 15th, and then it's crossed above the zero line as well. Now, my one issue, I never want to ignore what I'm looking at, and I'm looking at these red signals that are the red, what do you call it, 30-minute candlesticks that are all headed there. We have our first green one as well after this red period, but I'm not fully convinced on this stock yet. In fact, when it comes to my own dollars, I most likely would not jump in just yet, unless it was maybe with an option trade of some sort. Let's take this all the way back then to the 1 day, and we're just going to look at some levels and see what's been going on with Netflix. Tighten it up one more time so that I don't cross my eyes or yours. We're going to tighten it just a little bit more. I am really interested in seeing if any retracement has happened, and if so, if there are any recurring levels that we're going to see. I'm going to tighten this up a little bit too, so we can see that. Pull that down a little bit. There we go. Okay, so look at this 38.2% level, really around $477. You've got, I mean, our strength, our line of support is just under that, like just under it. So I'm going to draw this here, try and make it a flat line. I almost had it. I'm There we go. Excellent. I'm also going to turn it blue since we've got a maybe I'll turn it red or white. There we go. That's going to show up a little bit more. So this line isn't far off from the 38.2% retracement, but look at how well, I mean, that is some long-term support. I mean, it played resistance back here in late June of 2020, but it was support in July, support in August, support in September, support in October, support in November, and then finally price stayed above that, right? And where we're sitting right now, I think if we were to head higher, I would fully expect to see at least a 10% move to challenge and possibly overtake this this last high. But again, it doesn't take a genius to see that this stock has really been channeling a bit too, and I would you just really want to be careful ultimately. I mean, especially when you're allocating your own capital for trading, you definitely have to be aware of what's going on with this stock. And the more, I always say, people love to lie to themselves. Well, technical analysis people, we sometimes see what isn't there. Right? If you've done technical analysis, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. And so I just want to be somewhat honest with myself so that I can just trade and see what's there and not have to make anything else up. So I like that current price broke out of this downward trend that we've seen over the last couple of months, but that definitely is a downward trend. You've got lower lows and lower highs. But then we have this breakout, the breakout that happened just earlier in April. So we'll see how this all plays out. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this Fibonacci analysis as well. I think these support levels are very important. And the resistance level is important too. It's kind of the upper boundary of this here. Upper boundary there. But the support line was evident every month. The resistance line was happened far less often, and then you had this gap move, this gap open higher with their January earnings, and it's just sort of trickled off since then, even though earnings is coming up next week. So definitely a lot to handle when it comes to Netflix, whether or not you believe in the story and this thing's going to pop higher. That's definitely more of a fundamental basis of trading. But for now, given all the mixed signals that we've gotten in the stock, I would certainly look at being patient and just waiting. I just want to figure out where strength is and trade with the trend, trade with strength. I make money a whole lot easier when I do it that way than when I try to be a contrarian investor. So I don't know, maybe you have a different style. Feel free to leave a comment in the chat because I always love hearing from you guys. And if you haven't already subscribed to these videos, please subscribe to the channel. I love seeing those numbers increase too, and it just inspires me to keep making videos. So thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, happy trading.